Hey there, happy Thursday and NFL schedule release day. It's 11 a.m., which means it's time for another episode of CHGO Bears presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get two risk-free bets up to $2,000. What's going on? I'm your host today, Will DeWitt, kind of pinch hitting here in a way, or coming out of the bullpen, whatever baseball metaphor that I know, Nick, you and Adam love to talk baseball on the top of the show, so I was trying to pull something out here. But regardless, I'm here to step in. Adam's having, I think, electrical issues at his home. So last minute, I'm excited to be here with you to kind of discuss some of the items that we have on our agenda today. And it's only our first show out of two because we'll be back tonight to kind of break down the full Chicago Bears schedule later on this evening. But Nick, how's it going, man?
Going pretty good. Willie could have said we called an audible wearing the throwback Chicago Audible hat. I know you have it somewhere. Yeah, let's go. There you go. This is a throwback episode, doing it virtually. But yeah, Adam called me last second like, hey, we're having some electrical issues. Can you see what Will's up to? And hey, Will, you're always ready to come in and, like you said, pinch hit. And now we're doing a show.
Yeah, now we're doing a show, and we have some news to talk about, which I appreciate, especially in this time of the offseason when you don't get a lot of news. And we were all preparing for the schedule release, and we didn't expect the Bears to sign, a couple of receivers. I don't want to bring it up because I may cry here on the show, but, waiving Jesper Horsted. I know everyone was checking in on me, socially on Twitter as soon as the news broke, which I appreciate everyone who did because it was a very lonely feeling having him go. I literally just talked about being the leader of his fan club like 2 days before, and the Bears like, we can't have that. So Jesper, you're going to have to go. But where do you want to begin? Do you want to talk about these receivers? Do we need to talk about, relive the glory days of Jesper Horsted in Chicago? He caught Justin Fields' first touchdown pass. All he ever did was score touchdowns here every time he touched the football, but he's no longer a Bear, and, that upsets me.
It does. It should upset you, Will, because again, president of that fan club there. But I think we really need to start with the Nathan Peterman news. No, I really don't even. It's a camp body for sure. Somebody that they're going to bring in and is going to fulfill that for the maybe give the defense some interceptions. To be completely honest, but now they have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, but. Honestly, I see it in the comments here from Agent Mole. Peterman is nothing more than a camp arm. That's essentially what he'll be serving for the Bears here. Because you have Justin Fields, you have Trevor Siemian, and then Nathan Peterman. The only real memories I have from Nathan Peterman is when the Bears messed him up in Buffalo. Where what was it? Leonard Floyd was scoring touchdowns. Kyle Fuller got an intercept. They were just destroying the Buffalo Bills in that 2018 season. But that's really it from Nathan Peterman. That's my only recollection of him.
Well, when you say Nathan Peterman, and my gut reaction is just a chuckle. And that's all that really needs to be said. I think tells you everything that you need to know here. But no, like we mentioned, someone to just be here throughout OTAs. Someone has to throw to the third stringers. You just need to have that extra person there. And like you said, maybe get the defense some of these turnovers, interceptions. I mean, that's been preached, and they're looking, as in they and Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles, we really want this defense to be feasting. And a good way to start it now in the offseason is having a guy who is a interception machine here throwing to this defense. And who knows? At worst case scenario, it's going to bolster the confidence of the Bears secondary.
There we go.
I feel more for some of these receivers because we'll talk about in a bit on the bottom end of this roster who need to make a chance. How many chances are they really going to get with Peterman throwing them the football? And then I just thought about Peterman too, being out there in the preseason. It's just going to be weird.
Oh, God, that's, preseason games are already hard in itself to kind of watch. But then when you have a quarterback that's, incompetent, it makes it that much harder. But, you do bring up a really good point, though, Will, because there are a lot of players in that third string, right? Whether it's offensive line receivers, they're looking to get quality reps. When I was just at the rookie mini camp, the offense, they just didn't get good looks. And it was because of the quarterback play. It's because of the offense. So you're not seeing what some of the other players are capable of. Yes, you can see if a receiver run an individual route, had a good release, things like that, but you're not seeing the play officially executed.
Right.
So I think, obviously we can poke fun at it, but there are some drawbacks to not having somebody that can play the position well. But again, look, it's it's a guy that does have some starting experience, and he is going to be the third stringer. So expectations shouldn't be at a high level for this guy or anything like that. But so maybe he can actually play better than how we're kind of discussing it right now.
Maybe is the key word. I would not hold my breath for that. Doesn't move the needle for me, Nick. But when you look at the roster and the bottom half of the receiving group, guys that really do need to show out in training camp preseason in order to make their case to become, a member of the team officially on week 1, Daz Newsome, Simba Webster, David Moore, Chris Finke. Like, there's just so many guys down here that, when they saw this signing, they're probably shaking their heads like, for F's sake, like, what do I am really in a bind now in order to kind of like make my presence felt if this guy is just going to throw to the defense. Maybe they need to wear the opposite color jersey so that way he throws, their way. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I put on our CHGO Bears Twitter account, like, give me like your GIF reaction. There's like over 300 responses, and almost every single one of them made me laugh. And that's why I love those exercises, because I learned new GIFs too along the way to utilize in my future. But everyone is feeling exactly what we're saying right now, like almost like why, but I think I get the why. Like, you need someone. He has the experience, like you said, and as I mentioned earlier, like worst case scenario, he's gonna boost the confidence of this defense. And honestly, I'll be okay if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of what Nathan Peterman's here for. And like you said, I was having fun just going through that thread on the tweet that you had there, Will, because there were some funny responses and gifs in there. But honestly, that should close the discussion on Nathan Peterman.
What?
We probably won't. I'm sorry if people who are tuning in right now wanted more Nathan Peterman
just
talk.
For Horsted talk, Nathan Peterman talk. It is May 12th, and you can tell the schedule hasn't been fully released just yet. But no, that makes a lot of sense. And I do want to discuss the new Bears wide receivers. That should be the bulk of our conversation here today. They brought in Tajae Sharpe. They also brought in Peterman as well, Pettis as well. Sorry, Dante Pettis as well, who has some good experience, both from San Francisco and New York. And even though he's someone that is a name that I would say is under the radar, has a lot of upside that I'm excited to kind of get into. But let's start with Sharpe, because he's first on our graphic here. 6'2", 194-pound wide receiver. Throughout his career, 117 catches for about 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns. What are the Bears getting in Sharpe, Nick?
Yeah, so it's a guy that was a former 5th-round pick in 2016, is going now. This on the Bears will be his 4th team after being drafted by the Tennessee Titans and then having some time in Atlanta and Minnesota. But like you said, he does have, I guess, for a guy that wasn't like a primary receiver, over 100 catches, like you said, but he does also have familiarity with an Andrew Janocko, who, again, they crossed paths in Minnesota. So, and I think you see like the parallels in some of the players that the Bears are bringing. There's some kind of connection somewhere, right? Whether it was a coach down the line or, whatever it may be, there's some kind of connection. So a guy that does have experience, because I think that's what the Bears need to add more to the wide receiver room. And if they were going to go this approach, and I wrote an article for All CHGO, kind of the more strength in numbers approach, you want to get veteran wide receivers to kind of round out this room so that you do have some, I guess, differentiation in the types of receivers that you have there. Because again, before Pettis and Sharpe are here, it was a Byron Pringle who had the most experience for the Bears. Like, that's weird to say in itself, because Pringle's still a young player, but now you're getting guys, different backgrounds, who've been in the league, who maybe haven't been as successful. But now let's see what can kind of happen here. There's going to be, I think, Will, a lot of opportunities in this wide receiver room because of the offense, and because there's really a Darnell Mooney who's a proven guy, and it's only 2 years in. So I think there's just opportunities for everyone to kind of show what they're truly capable of.
And I'm actually a big fan of that situation. Ideally, you do have those clear-cut starters at this point of the offseason. But coming into those OTAs, the mini camp, training camp, they're going to sit in that wide receiver room and look around, and every single guy, I feel like, is like, you know what? I have a legitimate shot to make this roster, but it's up to me and capitalizing on my opportunities, just because of the quantity that the Bears have gone through here. And I would say a lot of these players are at like the same kind of juncture of their careers, make it or break it type of guys. And I think it's a great atmosphere to kind of breed some serious competition, not just guys that are competing for like a fifth spot in the roster. Like there's spots like they can work their way up to wide receiver number 4, get some serious looks in his offense. And also too, Ryan Poles is not just bringing all these players in for roster spots, Nick. I was thinking about this too last night when I was changing a diaper at 2 a.m. He's building or thinking ahead for a practice squad candidates. Like a lot of these guys, if they end up being on the practice squad, I think are very valuable there. And the season being longer now, the Bears bye week being week 14, you're going to have to tap into that practice squad sometimes throughout the year. And having a deeper one is going to really bolster the Bears, not just for receiver, but all these other positions as well. When you look at all the talent he's bringing in at the bottom end of all these positions. But to get to my guy here in Pettis, I was sitting there last night and I was like, why does this name sound so damn familiar? Well, I did some homework on him heading into that 2018 NFL draft because the Bears were looking for a wide receiver. They went with Anthony Miller instead, but with Pettis, he's another bigger guy, 6'1", 195 pounds, and throughout his career, only 53 catches for 740 yards and 9 scores. But he's had a real just interesting, I guess, trajectory throughout his career. So he was drafted in the second round, 44th overall. That was ahead of Christian Kirk. That was ahead of Michael Gallup. And that was despite the fact that he did not participate in a pro day. He did not participate in the NFL scouting combine because he was coming off an ankle injury. So he got drafted to the 49ers. He was pretty much like one of their top guys that season, played with 3 different quarterbacks. Garoppolo got hurt, and then they kind of played musical chairs around him for, throughout that season. But despite the fact of having 3 different guys throw to him, he had the 3rd most touchdowns of all rookie receivers with 5. That was behind Calvin Ridley, who had 10, and I think Anthony Miller had 7 during his rookie season. So he had that production in terms of scoring. And then in terms of what the Bears have been looking for this offseason, Nick, what has it been? Guys who can make plays with the football in his hands. And that was Pettis, his rookie year. He led all rookies with yards after the catch per reception on average, with 7.9, which is a very, very strong number, just kind of showing his ability to make guys miss and make things happen, after the initial catch. But unfortunately for him, a knee injury cut that debut season short, so he missed the final 4 games. So again, the fact that he was leading the rookies in yards after the catch on average, 3rd in touchdowns, and he only played 3/4 of the season. Like imagine, like if he was out there, like where some of those stats would have ended up. Go ahead.
I mean, I was like looking also just at the comments here about like the plan that they have in place with guys like that who, showed some potential maybe early on and then have had some injuries. And I know you wrote in the thread like COVID was a big factor for Dante Pettis too. Had a bad COVID episode that kind of lingered, things like that. The thing is too, it's like for me, obviously everyone's coming into a situation in this offense where almost everyone's on the same playing field because nobody's played in this offense except for Equanimeous St. Brown, right? He's the only wide receiver here that's actually had an offense. Luke Getsy's offense, whatever that may be. And he said in his press conference on last Sunday, Mother's Day, it's like 11-1, all 11-1. That's how we're going to play, being a team that no turnovers, is going to finish plays, things like that. That's what he kind of mentioned. This is what the offense will look like. So I just am curious to see. He talked about putting these players in the best position possible to play to their strengths. I wonder, like with having so many new guys, how early can you identify what everybody's strengths are individually as players to then get that reflected in a season early on? And that's going to be like the thing that Getsy's going to have to work on, that Eberflus going to have to look at. This Justin Fields is going to have to see with each one of these receivers. But someone put in the comments that, a lot of these guys like to get yards after catch. And that, I think, could be a really good starting point to trying to get these guys just in a rhythm, to be completely honest, because Adam and I were talking last episode, Will, where it just never seemed like the Bears offense under Matt Nagy ever got in rhythm. Maybe there are certain drives, certain games, very, very small sample size, but that's where I'd want, Luke Getsy in this offense to kind of start finding and identifying each one of those guys' strengths and then catering your playbook, your how you build upon plays to reflect that, because then you'll see maybe what these guys who haven't had the most success in their career, maybe they can start seeing some flashes. And I'm not saying that, again, these guys are all, all going to make it in the league or be successful with the Bears, but that can definitely put them in the best position to do so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you mentioned Getsy. Let's not forget that his scheme, his system is going to be very similar to the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. And that's when we saw, Pettis really just kind of fit. And that's what I'm hoping for. Like, that's the upside. Like, the Bears are just kind of rolling the dice and hoping for it. And it's a very low risk, high reward situation for the Bears and Ryan Poles. But Nick, you hit it. Like you're talking about like no rhythm on offense before. Like, how many times do we sit here on a podcast and talk about why is it every time the Bears make a reception, the receiver has to be standing still? Like, how many, like, you did not see a receiver ever catch a ball in stride and from there, like, make a play. Like, he always had his back to the defense, numbers facing the quarterback, let's make a catch, and then usually got wrapped up immediately because there's just so much stagnation when it came to the flow of that offense. So, really good point to kind of hit on there. But for Pettis, he had a couple of injuries in San Francisco as well, which kind of derailed him a bit. They drafted Debo. They traded for Emmanuel Sanders. So he kind of got shoved down the depth chart a bit. And that's just not a good situation for a guy that's dealing with a couple of, like, a knee injury, an ankle injury. So he got waived in November 2020, got picked up by New York. As you mentioned, he got COVID. He said it affected his stamina, which I know for me, I had a very similar experience as well. And then he also lost 8 pounds from that. Kind of was on the fringe practice squad, wide receiver 4 or 5 guy, but he made the most of that limited opportunities that he saw in New York. He caught 61% of his targets last year for 163 yards and 1 touchdown in 5 games. And the other connection I want to mention is Tyke Tolbert, who's coming from New York. So he was his wide receivers coach there. And a quote that I found from him that he told the media was, every time that Dante gets an opportunity to do something, he does it in a positive way. Doesn't surprise me one bit when he gets in the game and he's productive. And that's what you've seen throughout most of his career. The problem is just getting on the field, but he's known coming out of college, highly productive. He still owns the record in college for most punt return touchdowns with 9 throughout a career. And he's not the fastest guy, but the fact that he can do that shows that he has a great feel for space, making guys miss and finding the open area and, making magic happen with the football in his hand. So he's someone that, unlike an Anthony Miller, because I'm going to compare him because they were both drafted in the second round of 2018, had really good rookie seasons and kind of fizzled out. I feel like this kid's attitude's a little bit more positive, a little bit more team first, willing to put in the hard work. And even if he had good success and he got bumped down, like, he's still trying. And I really appreciate that out of this guy too. So he's someone that keeps fighting. I believe is a good locker room presence, not a cancer in the locker room by any means. And at this rate, Nick, I would not expect the Bears to sign anyone with any of those character issues based off of what Ryan Poles has proven so far throughout his tenure. But there's just so much I like about him, both on the field, off the field. Bigger, he's a little bit faster, but not the fastest. A really good route runner, can catch some of those back shoulder throws, be a red zone threat. I don't know, Nick. I feel like if out of the guys on the bottom end, like, he has a legitimate shot to potentially earn his way onto this roster. And if so, I feel like he can make some decent production in a limited role. But even if the role grows, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, no, I think if you're looking at guys that to round out this roster, again, there isn't much competition at the wide receiver position. Yeah, I would put Pettis up there. Again, he does have experience and, the similar types of offense, so maybe he picks up the terminology a little quicker coming from Shanahan and with Getsy, and obviously all those kind of cross paths at some time with the coaching tree. So, yeah, I would definitely agree with you there, Will. I'm also trying to think back when the Bears played the 49ers back in San Francisco. I think that would have been the 2018 season. Man, I feel like Dante, like, he got hurt in that game. Now, I don't know why, like, bringing up again, Pettis again, maybe I'm off on that, but yeah, that's kind of, I would agree with you though, in a sense that he is probably out of all the wide receivers that have been, or were brought yesterday, who were signed after rookie minicamp, I put Pettis up there, but I think, Will, the people want to know more, and I see Caleb, I put Horsted in here. I don't think he didn't get enough his time to shine for you to kind of talk about him and what, just Horsted hype.
Yeah, so we'll wrap up Horsted height in a second. So I did see actually one more comment that I wanted to highlight. Geez, it went by quick. The chat rolls quick, Nick. But they're asking like why, because I said he's not the fastest, and it mentioned like a 4.3240. I googled it, and it was like the very top result in Google. But I don't know when he ever ran a 40. Like I said, he didn't participate in the pro day. He didn't participate in the scouting combine. He verbally said like I can run like a 4.37. I don't know when he ran that, and so I would verify that source before I would say he ran a 4.32. Just because Google says it and like, extrapolates it from an article doesn't mean it's necessarily true. So it's definitely take an extra step there. And if you find out when he ran it, let me know. But based off of my research this morning, I didn't see him actually running a 40 at any time. But still, a 4.4 is not slow. I'm just saying he's not like a 4.2 guy. All right, so. Horsted hype. I don't know what to even say, Nick. Like I said earlier, just immediately makes me sad just to think like he's no longer here. And speaking of guys who make the most of their opportunities, like Horsted fits that definition to a T. I wish he would have had more here. And I know he dealt with some injuries. It did surprise me to see like a failed physical designation being the reason why they're parting ways with him.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And look, the Bears moved quick too, right? Because they waived Jesper Horsted, but also claimed Ryson John, who was undrafted, was selected in the third round of the 2020 CFL draft. So he was drafted in the CFL, but went undrafted to the Giants again. Go back to Tolbert, the current Bears wide receiver coach, kind of finding the connections there. But look, to be completely honest, don't know if this is a guy that is more so a training camp body, because there are currently 3 tight ends still on the roster, and actually add in Chase Allen, the rookie minicamp invite from Iowa State. So, but now he with John, that would make 5. And at 24 years old, he's a guy that does have some physical attributes, being 6'7", 237, ran a 4.640. Will, so he does have pretty damn good speed for a tight end. Yeah,
those are some quick wheels for a tight end.
Yeah, so again, I don't want to put any really high expectations for a guy they claim. You'll see if it works out in training camp, if he can pick up this offense and see what he could potentially do. But yeah, the Bears, after they didn't want you to linger too long on the Horsted news, so they're like, here, let's bring in another guy. Maybe you'll like these traits as well, and so we can ease our way out. And I wonder, the only thing, I don't know if there's a chance for Horsted to come back because it is a new regime, so they don't have that connection to Horsted. But maybe he gets healthy, and who knows? You never know what can happen from now until training camp, until preseason. But it kind of looks like it's over.
Do you remember the video when he made the team last year?
Yes, yeah. Going in, I was gonna say Ryan Poles' office. No, Ryan Pace's office, but I do remember that video. Yep.
Yeah, and it was like they kind of bait and switched them, like every year, people come in, we have to make these tough decisions, and but you made the team, and like the look on his face of like joy and elation, because he worked hard for years, like underneath like the smallest of radars, like on that practice squad. And again, like he got elevated and got like 2 targets, and it's like, hey, 2 touchdowns, or like the 3 touchdown preseason game. There's so much that I still like about him. And if his time in Chicago's done, like they're moving on, and when you do have these failed physicals in your release, like I would say the chance is always available to come back. They just want bodies here to participate. But if he goes somewhere else, I'm still rooting for the kid. Who knows? Maybe I'll make a custom Horsted jersey, and I'll just have that as well. Because, with my luck with jerseys, Nick, if he's gone, he's somewhere else. I can have a Horsted Bears jersey, like to remember the Horsted hype. Maybe I'll put Horsted hype on the back with 87.
There you go. I like that. I was kind of mad when he cut off the flow, the lettuce when he cut it off. I'm like, oh man, that was Horsted's like signature look back in training camp last year. Like you knew exactly where he was at, because it was Jesse James and JP Holtz. They had like those guys always confusing, but you always knew where Jesper was at because you looked for the flow.
That's right. And like, is that Greg Olson? Like, are we going back to 2008? Like,
oh yeah,
the blonde locks coming out of the helmet at the tight end position. But no, like I think everyone knows, and I see Nunu in there too. Like I agree. Like that's my saying. Like all that man does is catch touchdowns. That's all he does. And I'm gonna still entrust Ryan Poles that he's bettering this roster, but he is a really decent receiving tight end that I don't know the other skill sets on the team yet, but they do have a couple of veterans they brought in. They got the guy that you mentioned off of waivers, and also Allen too, who is a really good blocking tight end. And I don't expect the Bears to roll tight end heavy like we did in seasons past. Like 5 tight ends, I don't see it this year on the roster, Nick. Do you?
Just based again what they're saying early on, they being Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles, like the emphasis of wanting to run the ball, like so maybe that's where you carry more of those tight ends right now. But we'll see how it kind of plays out. If like the offense, you start to open it up a little bit, maybe you're not heavily relying on that run game so much. But it wouldn't surprise me if they do have a good amount of tight ends, because they do want to emphasize the run with Montgomery and Herbert there.
All right. Well, let's close the book on some hashtag Horsted hype. Unfortunately, it's like the words I never want to say, but it's reality, and we're going to have to just accept it at this point. But I just want to let you know that the best way that you can support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. And if you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. And you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a more than $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. And if you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and our team will definitely help you out. Your home for live in-play betting just got even better. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, Live NBA Same Game Parlay. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live NBA Same Game Parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. If you want more, you can also boost your live same game parlay, so you can watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And now online sign up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
So I have to tell all of our listeners about our next awesome partner, one that I used this morning actually. Athletic Greens. As you know, I've been taking my Athletic Greens every morning before my workouts, and honestly just feel great after taking them. With 1 scoop of Athletic Greens, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help get your day off right. The mixture of greens helps your immune system, gives you energy, and improves your focus. And again, that's why I take my Athletic Greens, and you honestly should too. What's awesome about Athletic Greens is that it costs you less than a cup of coffee a day. Also, it helps support better sleep quality and recovery, which we all definitely need. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's literally it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy too, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bears. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bears to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance.
All right, you're listening to the CHGO Bears Podcast. I'm your host today, Will DeWitt, joined by my good pal Nicholas Moreano. We are discussing Chicago Bears news, receivers coming in, tight ends leaving, and now we have some schedule leaks. Even though we have a show later tonight where we're going to break down the schedule, in a little bit more of a deeper fashion, we thought it'd be a good time just to kind of share, some quick takeaways or observations, based off of what's been able to kind of, come through the woodworks so far here this morning. And, Nick, week 2, prime time in Lambeau. Adam called it. It happens every single season. What are your thoughts? At least it's going to be a September primetime game in Lambeau, which the weather would be nice. It'd be a great game to, travel to, but having Aaron Rodgers and having to travel there, man, do I want to see Matt Eberflus' defense to come out there with some serious attitude and something to prove, especially because week 1's 49ers, which I know we'll talk about all this later, but that's another, both those games back to back are going to be very, I guess, difficult in a way, to say the least, but, kind of trial by fire, if you will. But what are your thoughts about, the Bears prime time against Aaron Rodgers. Same old song and dance is what kind of like the first thought I had yet again. But at the same time, different regime, hoping for potentially different results.
Yeah, the Bears, they always got to put them on primetime against the Packers, and I just immediately say, why? Why are we doing this again? But I looked it up, Will. Like, this is early. Obviously, they're going to be playing in September. And this is for everybody in the chat, so you better look this up quick if I'm going to, to see if you can find this answer. When was the last time the Bears beat the Green Bay Packers in September? Will, if you had to just guess, what year would that even be remote? Yeah. If you can put ballpark, I'll give you like 2 years.
You'll give me a 2 year
either way. Yep, I'll give you a 2 year buffer. Anybody got this in the chat too? If you're listening live, when was the last time the Bears beat the Packers in September?
2006.
Okay, it's not that long. It's 2010.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's 2010. It was September 27th at home. It was a 20-17 game. So Tyler put 2018 in September. Oh, there we go.
Good.
Sorry, my whatever's going on. But that was 2018. That was later on in the year. I'm saying September, early on in the season. So it was a 20-17 game. Just a little synopsis here from the Associated Press. What happened in that game? Because I'm like, I don't even remember that. Jay Cutler threw for 221 yards. Brian Urlacher forced a key fumble, and Chicago took advantage of a team record 18 penalties by the Packers to beat Green Bay 20-17. On Monday night.
So Green Bay beat themselves that game too. The Bears didn't beat them. Green Bay beat themselves that game.
That is nuts to have that many penalties. Here's one more question for everybody. Since 2010, how many times have the Bears actually beat the Packers?
Twice?
Double that. It was 4 times. The Bears have beat the Packers 4 times since 2010, which made me just, I don't know, scratch my head, look down, and just disappointment. Like, wow, that's an insane number. Again, like the Packers have done, like in the last decade, it's been evident that who the better team is, and everyone knows that. But I just had to look that up.
Get out.
We know who. We know why.
It's because of that man right there right here.
I was trying to like hide my face, but like it doesn't block yours over there too.
Hey,
I need to figure out that technology.
You can't get the 5 without getting the 4 first. So let's hope that this is the year.
Oh, good. Yeah, but 4, at least that's double than what I thought. Like, I know it's still very disappointing, but I actually was like, okay. Like, I thought it may have been just a little bit worse down there. So, Rodgers, are you ready for week 2?
Oh, well, I do own you. So, sorry. I'll leave.
Thank you.
But yeah, well, I think just having that so early on in prime time, right? It's like that's a reality check really early on to know, again, this new regime, to see who's been at the top of this division since forever, right? So they're going to see exactly what they want to aspire to be in terms of dominating the division, being a good, consistent, team. Like I said, they're going to learn that early on in Lambeau Field. But when I saw that, it's like it didn't surprise me that it would be a primetime game, because the Bears-Packers always get matched up in primetime at some point. But that I had to look up the stats when the last time the Bears beat the Packers in September.
How many times have they played them in September, though? I feel like it's been kind of pushed later into the season lately. Did you kind of catch that at all?
I could go through the whole rundown of how many games have they played? 100. So the series, Packers are winning 103 games. I did not go all the way that far, but
I just meant like lately. Like I feel like over the last decade or so, like have they had many September games, or it's only been a couple? Because I know I went to the one that I mentioned in 2012. You mentioned 2010 was the last win in September, but even since, like, have they played them in September a lot?
Yeah, so here we go. We're doing math on the fly, and that's my best subject.
Yes, it is.
Knows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What?
7. Yeah, we're looking at the months with 9, right? Yep.
Yeah.
7. Is that what I just?
Since 2010?
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently they suck so bad against Green Bay that I mentally block all of that out, because I feel like.
Well, one game that instantly comes to my mind, Will, is remember the game where it's like, who's it? Shea McClellan and is it Christian Jones, where they're like going back and forth, and they have no idea what's going on in the play. And then
Shocker.
Rodgers just throws a touchdown. Yeah, just shocker. But that one I know is definitely a September game because I remember going to it. But yeah, I guess I didn't even realize that there was that many in early on in the year.
This is a terrible episode. Nathan Peterman, Jesper Horsberg got cut, and now we're reminiscing about Green Bay whipping our ass. Like I don't know, Nick. Like, why did you bring me on this show last minute?
Because you know what? Yes, that's exactly why. We need to go down this tough path to hopefully come out on top at some point.
But to go back to your main point, it is a really good reality check, measurement stick, whatever you want to call that kind of game for the Bears to know where they are early. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because they're so new, whether it be the coaching staff, most of these players, coming on in, there's going to be a lot of growing to do throughout the season. And I almost said growing pains, but I feel like it's expected. So I'm just going to say growing in general. So just to kind of measure up. And then whenever they play them later on in the year, I don't think that second game has that been official yet?
Nope. Not unless it's the last game of the year. I thought I saw something about them playing the Packers.
I thought they're playing Detroit the last game because I saw something. That's why leaks suck, and that's why we'll wait till later to have this discussion. So we don't need to debate which leak is true or not. But whenever that is later on in the year, and then you play them again, and then you can. Yes,
hey,
sir.
According to Danny Parkins, it's week 13.
Okay. So week 13.
So later on.
4th.
So and you
my birthday. They play on my birthday. Nice. That's gonna be a great gift to have.
It'll be fine because the reason why I was saying here, Nick, is they'll play them again, and even if it's a closer game, that's a confidence boost. Hey guys, look how much we grew from week 2 all the way here now, week 13. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. You should have already known the schedule, by the way. Well, I don't know why I need to credit reporters here.
Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
But I think it'll be really. I'm interested actually for that week 13 game because I want to see the difference, between the early on Bears versus the team that kind of molds and gets shaped throughout the season. Because Lugetti's is going to get more familiar with his offense, his players. Justin Fields, defensively, they're going to get a little bit more in tune with this defensive scheme. Hopefully, building some good confidence with games with multiple turnovers. So. That's what I look forward to already between the two matchups, the Week 13 one, and it's at home, so that will help, as well. But yeah, interesting to kind of go there. And I know San Francisco Week 1, so I feel like you don't get to see Trey Lance, right?
I doubt it. I think it's another Jimmy Garoppolo game, Jimmy versus Justin there at Soldier Field. But I think everyone's going to be wanting to see. A Justin Fields versus Trey Lance game because nobody I think knows, what Trey Lance is at this point, and they can't because he hasn't played. So that would be the matchup I would be looking forward to most, just seeing how they stack up. But since it is week 1 at Soldier Field, if health wise for Jimmy Garoppolo, he's able to kind of get onto the field and be on schedule. I would expect to see Jimmy Garoppolo making the start and. Just having that matchup with Justin Fields again.
All right, I think we should save most of the schedule talk for tonight because I have some strong thoughts about this bye week, which if someone's listening, I'll let you know it's week 14 for crying out loud, and I'll save some of my my judgments for tonight. So if you're really interested in why I'm so passionate about this late ass bye week, stay tuned till tonight, and I'll definitely explain why and some other things about it. But real quickly here, Nick, let's go ahead. It's 12:30, 11:39. I feel like you should let people know real quick about PointsBet one more time.
Well, I would, but I have Strava here, Will.
Shoot.
So I'm going to ask everybody before.
Last minute, man. Last minute. I'm figuring it out as we go.
No. I took Adam's ad read yesterday, so that was definitely just on me. I was just overlooked it.
We're all just on it. So Strava, which I love, by the way. So you let the people know how to get their CBD coffee here.
Yeah, and first, the question that everyone's looking forward to is do you want to start your day with a competitive edge? Of course you do. There's no question. Strava CBD Coffee is a game changer, you guys, and it's helped thousands of people to improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic broad spectrum CBD. And just so you know, CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you, like feeling alert and focused without the jitters, living your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pains. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can help you enjoy more restful sleep so you wake up feeling at your best. And the best part about all of this, Strava is all about quality. Everything's small batch, fresh, and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated full spectrum CBD tinctures for those looking for a more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage effect of benefits. And here's the most important part, everybody. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase when you use code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com when you use code CHGO25 at checkout. Discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only, one use per customer. And do you already love Strava? You can subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. That's definitely a club that you want to get into. And with Strava, you're in control. You save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule.
My question for everyone is, like, if you're not a member of CHGO, if you haven't joined our family, like, what are you waiting for? Like, I really want you to join. I want to see you in our private Discord where, you know, the Bears chat's always going on. People are talking about the schedule right now inside of it, helping us kind of stay up to date because they're throwing in some of the updates and asking some questions, and it's just a really good time. So I would really encourage you to check out CHGO at allchgo.com. The membership has so many benefits. We've mentioned the Discord, the private community with us, as well as if you do the annual membership, you get a free T-shirt, and we have a really awesome store of a bunch of T-shirts. I'm sure you would find one that suits your fancy. On top of that as well, you unlock all of our written articles. That includes Adam's Bears Things that comes out every single week. Nick and I are pumping out content. This is our full-time job now, so we actually get to sit down and write. And I've wrote more in the last 2 months than I wrote over the last 5 years at our other place. Like, it's pretty fun to kind of get back into that mode, and I try to make sure everything that I publish is worth being behind a paywall because I know it's very important for you to get that value. And I know Nick strives to, for the exact same thing. So I would just say one last time, go to allchgo.com today, sign up for a membership, do the annual because it's only comes out to like $5 a month, which again, that's 25% the cost of Netflix right now. And you get to support local journalists like us, as well as unlock all of that awesome content, become part of our family, and join that Discord. So like I said, what are you waiting for? Definitely go ahead and do that. All right, Nick, there are some super chats. I see one on the screen from Bear Forever 14, and he says, don't care how many times we've lost to Green Bay before. Put your big boy pants on, grow a pair, and beat the frickin' Packers already. Screw Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to pop up on the screen? No. So that's good here, too. And I agree, because, we're...
What?
It took you a while. You had to find the button.
Sorry, I was
daydreaming.
Doing other things.
Dude,
Checking your ownership agreement.
You got to do a lot of stuff. So
I get
sure.
it.
Yeah.
A lot of buttons.
Yeah, screw the Packers.
Thank you for saying it. But like we talked about the week 2 matchup, I remember a Bears head coach entering his first year who had to go to Green Bay week 2, and he came out with a victory, and that's Lovie Smith. And it's very similar defense, whole attitude, philosophy, culture we're building here. So I know Eberflus didn't start his introductory presser with, we're going to beat Green Bay, but you better believe that's a priority number 1. Again, like Lovie Smith did it. Let's go Matt Eberflus. Let's go Coach Flus. Like, let's do it as well. Like, I would love to see that. That was against Brett Favre. This is Aaron Rodgers. Like, we need it. Like, that kind of was like signaling the end of the Favre era. Like, for a few years after that, like that's when the Bears started to kind of take over. Let's do that again here in 2022. It's almost been 20 years already, which is nuts, to say the least, because I remember that game, listening to it on my way back from a Pop Warner football game on the radio, Jeff Joniak calling Devin Hesser's punt return to kind of seal the deal there for it. And yeah, that one was a lot of fun. Oh, actually, no, that was 06. I'm thinking of a different one. Too many Bears games on the radio for me because Pop Warner games being on Sunday. Shame on them, because I would love to
shame
watch
on Pop Warner.
Yeah, honestly, I wanted to watch my Bears, but I had to forego half the season because I also wanted to play football. Never made sense to me, and my kid has to play football on Sundays too. So it's just a really poor decision making overall. But I digress. Let's get to some more of these super chats here real quick. What's the next one that's going to pop up on the screen? Yeah, from Brian, Will, and Nick. What's your honest opinion about the roster right now? And Nick with a C. I know you even put in your Twitter bio, Nick with a K. Like, does that really get to you?
It's all right. It's all right, Brian. I think it's because Nicholas doesn't have a K, right? So it has the H there. I don't make up the rules. That's just how it is. But Nick with a K. What is your honest opinion on the roster right now? Look, I look at the secondary now. Well, that was one of the biggest glaring needs that need to be addressed in this draft, and Ryan Poles did that. He was able to go and take the best players available and put guys that should be week one starters. So I do feel good about that. He really went for quantity with the offensive lineman on day 3. So that was obviously another major need, and still trying to figure out right guard and where the tackle, who's going to end up playing tackle. So you still have that. You just got these 2 veteran wide receivers. I don't know how much that pushes the needle for that overall room, but yeah, the roster is, you can't fix everything in one offseason, one season. It's not real. You can't fix it to the degree where you're going to feel good about every single position. Okay, that's just the reality of it, especially because this is the first year of Eberflus and Poles. So what they started off with in terms of having 6 draft picks and ending up with 11, like they did a lot with what they were given from the last regime. So I definitely feel a lot better now than I did, before the draft, started.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. There's no way I expected Ryan Poles to come in here and fix this thing in 1 year. He was in a very poor cap situation, limited draft capital, very old roster. There are a lot of things that are working against him. And in many ways, I'll use the analogy of if you're gardening plants, and if it's diseased or dying, you can prune it back. You can really kind of, snip it away. And that's what he did here. And then it can grow back and, kind of heal itself, if you will. And it takes time. And that's kind of the situation that we are right now. The good news is I think there are intriguing competition throughout this roster, and I think that's going to breed, really bode well for the Bears by breeding that competition, and we're going to find some diamonds in the rough, and then having a stronger idea of some of those long-term needs next offseason with a much healthier cap, an actual first-round draft pick. I think that's going to help. So I'm okay with where it's at. And I'm actually I'm excited to see how it will shake out. And after we find out who the 53-man is, let's start really, comparing. But I like the youth infusion. It's much needed, a little overdue. And again, I'm okay with it. I appreciate the question there. From Sam, we got, we almost have to give Poles the benefit of the doubt in offensive line, given his background, agreed. And the fact that they know what they have in each player more than anyone, agreed again. If he feels shorthanded, he would be moving. Agreed for the 3rd time. Sam, I really appreciate you just saying it, because all 3 of those were, excellent points. And he's not sabotaging Justin. He's not going to put a piss poor offensive line in front of him purposely and, risk his health. That is just not what he's going to do. That's criminal at that. And also, Justin's a franchise guy and he knows it. And like you said in your comment, if anyone knows offensive line, it's Poles. we have to give him the BOTD.
Exactly. And so I know when the Bears drafted both Kyler Gordon and Brisker, it's the Bears don't have faith in Justin Fields. That's not the case, you guys. If Justin Fields doesn't pan out, that messes up the timeline of what the Bears want to do in 2023. And if they're I know Bears Twitter can be just a crazy place to be in. And that's why we should stay off of it as much as possible. But the point is that Ryan Poles is doing best what he thinks is for the team, which in theory should help out everybody, including Justin Fields. And yes, he didn't draft a wide receiver in round 2. He did get Velus Jones Jr. He did, he tried to do his best in free agency and get guys that he fits what Luke Getsy's trying to bring from Green Bay to Chicago. So it's the whole, and I know Nomad here, I'm sick of the whole sabotage Justin narrative. Same here. To be completely honest, I don't think it's something that fuels the fire early on in the offseason, and because we don't see the big ticket free agent wide receiver brought in or the high drafted wide receiver, obviously in the draft. So yeah, it is just talking points for other media. But I think once we come to see the game and the system and see how things are playing out, then we can have a better evaluation of what this offense is and how it does help Justin Fields and caters to his strengths.
Yeah, scheme, cater to his strengths. Guys, multiple players now who can make plays after the catch. Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, Velus Jones Jr. If, as well, if Dante can also figure things out here as well that we talked about earlier, like that's another one. Again, like we got to just hold judgment right now. It's on paper, maybe not as glamorous as you like, but I still don't even know which top tier receiver you wanted that you could have gotten in the free agent market with the Bears cap situation without trading someone and mortgaging your future additional draft capital. Like, I don't know who that guy is. I could not see one at all so far this offseason. Another one from Andre. I'm so excited for all these new faces, and with their schedule, we should be at least a wild card, if not playoff contenders. Go ahead. You say what you want, then I'll say what I want.
With me saying everything that the Bears have done, I still I don't think it's not gonna be sunshine and rainbows. Okay, that's how I'll put it, to where pushing for a wild card, if not playoff contenders. I don't know if I'd go that far. A lot of the competition is in the AFC, though, to be completely honest. There's the big boys play over in that conference, and the NFC is the NFC. But the Bears do have and we'll talk about this schedule later on tonight, you guys, where we'll really dive deep and see these matchups and how the Bears kind of compare. But I do think the Bears could be competitive in a lot of these games. Well, I really do think when you look at the matchups where the Bears kind of stack up, and if Fields and Getsy take that step in this offense, they should be competitive. But I won't put it to where wild card or playoff contenders yet, but I love the optimism there, Andre.
I was gonna mention Nick. I've been known for years on this show. I am the optimistic guy. I am half glass full, but when we're in the season and things aren't working, I'll call it out. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, this is fine." It's not. But we're in the off season and we're watching a team being built. So I appreciate Andre just being optimistic, and it takes courage in this world to be optimistic and full of everyone being so pessimistic all the time, and just finding ways to drag people down and you do you, Andre. You stay optimistic about this team, and I'm someone that I like to set my expectations a little bit lower than what I would like them to see. That way they can exceed my expectations, and I feel really good about it instead of setting the bar too high. But if you believe that they can shoot for a wild card with the Bears' easier schedule, not having to travel a lot, and the NFC being the weaker conference, then hell yeah, man, absolutely. What do we got next?
Uh-oh, I got tagged in something in the comments. No. I don't know what.
I got here from Zach Myers. What do you guys think of having so many road games early and a bunch of home games late in the season? I don't even know what it looks like yet.
And I think we should wait till later on for the show at 7 p.m. Central Time. Then we can go more in depth on the actual schedule.
Read this one, Nick.
Fields versus Mac Jones, Week 7 is for one of the 2021 QB Infinity Stones. Yeah, let's do it. Bringing some Marvel into this. I love it. Yeah. Anytime we can add Marvel and intertwine into anything Bears, I am all for it.
Figured you would be. I didn't even I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's a Marvel thing, so I threw it your way in hopes, and thank God I was right. Is that like a Thanos
What is your
thing?
Bench press numbers? Yes, that is a Thanos thing. Look, Mr. Inglewood 77, I've been trying so hard and so long to actually get my bench up. I've hit 225 maybe 1.5 times. I thought I was going to die afterwards. But everything else, I think I'm decent. But benching, man, I go dumbbells too. It's usually dumbbells because I usually don't have a spotter in the morning.
You get a little bit more of that, a little bit more flexibility. You can go a little deeper with those dumbbells too. You get a little extra pump.
Yep,
I remember
true.
I need to go back to the gym. It's been 2 years because of COVID. I need to get back.
Yeah, no, I feel like everybody is back at Bears Fit right now. Everybody and their grandmother is like, hey, let's get back in there.
Virginia's out there?
George has been there though. He's been in the squat rack next to me. He goes in, and I was there at 5 a.m. George was there doing some weird exercise that I don't think I've ever seen before.
Why am I not surprised that he's doing some goofy ass exercise out there? So I think that's our super chats. Real quickly, I know some fun talk just to quickly end the show is it's getting hot out there. It's balmy. like, what do we like to do here in the summer, like in our spare time? And like for me, I love walking with my wife, especially now with the baby. Getting the stroller out and getting the walk around the neighborhood's been nice. Hiking, kayaking's been one that I love to do before kids, but AJ's old enough now that I'm thinking about taking him kayaking at the local lake around here this year.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And then beaches and pools. Like, get me around some water, maybe a drink in hand, and just, relax a bit. And it's just always a good time, especially with kids and family, and getting to play in the pool again. So just kind of stand there it's been nice. Like playing football or some basketball with the kid, like dunking on them. Like, those are memories that I'll always kind of, hold dear personally. How about you, man? Like, what do you do in the spare time besides, always researching and talking Chicago Bears?
Yeah, because that's all I do. Never go outside. No, I really, especially because it's actually been super nice. Hotter than maybe I like. I like to complain about the weather, even though we've been in crappy weather for months now. But my girlfriend and I like going to, whether it's Chicago, Milwaukee, and just trying out new places, getting a couple drinks, getting something to eat, and kind of just walking around and exploring. We're big into seafood, so you have a good lobster roll, there's a good chance we will be there trying it out. We should definitely like do a blog or something, a vlog on like each lobster roll and compare them, because I think we have a good variety and have tried a bunch now to where I think we can distinguish what's good, what's not. But yeah, definitely love doing that kind of stuff. I was just outside earlier today, just shooting some hoops, because it's actually nice out. So
Yeah.
being if I can be outside, being active, really like doing that, especially early on in the day, because you go midday when it's like 80, 90, like you're going to see me just pass out on the side of the road, just hell.
See, that's so like down here, the hottest part of the day is like 5:00. It's always like 5:00. That's when it gets really, really hot, like afternoon, whatever. But for some reason, that 5:00 sun hits a little bit different. But no, like getting outside, like with I'm just full dad mode, dude. Like I know you like to play with your dog. Like I'm just out there with the kid,
Yep.
whether it be shooting hoops or I have him running routes and teaching him like I'll get mad if he catches a ball and just stops running and starts walking back. Like you turn up field. Like you got to build that muscle memory today. But no, definitely, a lot of good activities. I saw from Fofo Plays in the comments that, I know you're looking for a place to go this summer on your vacation. He mentioned Puerto Rico, and I know you and I talked about it as a potential destination for you. So another vote for Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and we're still my Stephanie and I, my girlfriend, we're looking into that. Like we want to make a decision by like the end of the week, so that we're good for sometime in June to go. I see Ricardo here in the comment. What location would you recommend for people to get lobster rolls in Chicago? Man, it's gonna sound. I don't know if you've ever been to Brown Bag, and it's kind of almost like a chain, which is kind of weird. But they had that day maybe they had just a really good lobster roll. If you're ever in Milwaukee though, Harbor House, man, that was fire. Like I will go back. I want to go back to Harbor House to get a lobster roll there. And I still again, the lobster roll search in Chicago. Definitely want to do more of that, as now the weather is really nice.
I see Doug here. I was giving you another suggestion, and even above him, Jordan mentioned Puerto Rico will not disappoint. So I'm telling you, man,
All right.
Puerto Rico, to me, it seems like the one that keeps coming back up. But I know I got my vacation coming up early in June, taking the family to Maui, and I thought my whole life, like Hawaii was like one of those pipe dreams, like never gonna
Did
go.
somebody say Maui?
Yeah, are you there now?
No,
I'm kidding.
I'm supposed to be getting on a plane tomorrow morning, and pray for me. The daughter had a slight fever yesterday, and throat's hurting. Negative test at this point, but oh God,
Yeah,
this is very concerning. So pray
fingers
for Aaron
crossed, dude.
Rodgers.
Yeah, you got this. And when you're out there, if I think I'll talk to you. I don't know if I talk to you tonight or not, but have a great trip.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna give me all the
Hawaii.
tips.
I'm just gonna the family's asking like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I just want a Mai Tai, fish tacos, and the beach. That's all I really need.
That sounds awesome.
I got
Perfect.
myself an ATV tour, so I get to drive like one of those Polarises around the jungle.
No.
We did the road to Hana on our honeymoon like 8-9 years ago. Don't need to do that again. It was
I don't.
beautiful.
I don't know if I'm doing it honestly. It's with a baby. Like I just don't think that's something like.
Right.
Like we have like like a system in place. So like the wife and I can go out for a bit, but like a 10, 12-hour day with a newborn, like that's not gonna work.
I know. Although it is fun, and I did choose to go around the south side of the island on the way back, which I know you're not supposed to do, but don't tell the rental car company for 2013. It was a little wild, but it was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're about out of time here. That's a great way to end it, talking about summer plans, summer fun, sun's out, and I think everyone just feels a little bit, not so much.
Oh damn.
Oh damn! Like what is that, Will? Like no, like what? You see me in person, you know how I'm built. I accept it. I know who I am after 30 years.
Yeah, I'm not pulling any guns out at this point.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this morning's episode of the CHGO Bears podcast. Again, double header today.
Yes.
We'll be back tonight.
Everyone in the chat was talking about, the schedule's out. We know, 7:00 tonight.
Yep.
Get back here, okay? Hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Nick and Will, you know the words.
Yeah. Hit the button, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
If you're following us on podcasts, I would love a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're not a member of the CHGO family, get in there today. We'd love to see you there in our Discord, but we'll talk to you tonight. Adios.
Oh, I guess I gotta end this.
Hit the button. Go.
Bye.